Islam. Apologies about the late start, but you know the Moors are always building. So what we're gonna start with today is the reason why we as Negro, Black, Colored, African, even Moors, right, are in this situation where we're in, right? There's some of our people that call themselves Black people. Some of our people call themselves Negroes, Colored, Moors, Nuwapians, Nation of Islam, UNIA, Pan-African, Rastafarian, like all these different things, right? Our people, okay? People that, like we say Black people, right? So just this group thinks this way, okay? If we go to South Asia, right, and we pull somebody from Pakistan, we pull somebody from Sri Lanka, pull somebody from India, and we say, who are you guys, right? They're not going to talk about organizations they belong to. They're not going to talk about labels that have been imposed on them, right? They would tell you who they are and give you a breakdown of their history, and so you're clear about who they are. But it's not going to be scattered like with us, right? Like if we ask somebody who they are, one of our people, anybody, we just call somebody off the street, come in here, let me ask you a question, who are you? They're going to go into, and then you ask one of these people from other countries who they are, and they're going to come and they're going to pull out a holy book for you to show you that, this is, they might offer you some tea and some cookies or some cake or something, right? They might give you some vegetables or something like that, right? So there's something that's blocking. There's something that's deliberately there blocking our people, Negro, Black, Colored, Moors, people, from accepting who they are and not playing around like, they're all these other things. When the whole world knows who they are, the whole world is waiting for them to take the position of heir to the throne of the world. The whole world is stalling time by fighting wars against a European who they know they can easily defeat. Let's just go into the jungles and let's go to war. Forget the tanks and all the crap and the planes and all that stuff. If you want to go to war, right, let's really go to war, right? You don't need tanks and planes for war. That's facade, right? When you see all these martial arts movies, they're gonna war with each other. There are no planes, and it's hand-to-hand combat. Man might have a sword, man might have a shield, man might have a ball with spikes on it, but nobody's over here pointing a gun and shooting a guy way over there like a punk. That's why we don't promote guns. Not because violence kills people, because that's punk stuff. If you're gonna have a gun, right? And our position has been punk, victim. Don't take responsibility. Pretend like we know what's going on. You know what I mean? We know what's going on, right? Pretending like we know what's going on when we don't even have a clue what's going on. Locally or internationally. No clue. Why? How come everybody else knows but we don't know? How come we're the founders of civilizations but we can't find out how everybody else does it and implement it as well for our posterity, just like they do. Why? Psychic attacks. Because these people that, Negro, black, colored, whatever, say is, the New World Order, and they have a plan to take over the world, and we have to, be careful and all this type of stuff. Big Brother's watching you and all that, right? They say, and even the people who are in so-called power, they say that they're Freemasons. Like, they say so themselves, out of their mouth, right? Which means that the people who are in control aren't brutes that are just, flying planes and bombing innocent people and trying to implement their New World Order. These people are scientists. These people study the highest levels of our mystery school information that they can grasp. Because they know they're not going to get the full picture. Right? But that crumb that they get, they're going to rule the world with that crumb. Right? Why? Because of their will. Their will to survive. Because they know that they're the minority. Right? And how is a minority going to flip the game and have the majority admit that they're the minority out of their own mouth? Psychic attacks. Right? So we're taking this on a whole different, this is not Negro, black, colored, black power, pump your fist. You know what I mean? Let's figure out our enemy. Right? This is going to that quiet place within yourself and digesting really what's being presented so you can really understand why Noble Drew Ali came, said, if you don't do anything else, declare your nationality, because nationality is a shield. That's why all those other people aren't under the psychic attacks. And they're able to strive and thrive as human beings or people or whatever you want to call them. Ants, roaches, amoeba, starfish, whatever. None of them don't talk about, somebody's racist against them. They never take that victim position. Why? Because they have a shield. Nationality. And that's the one thing, right? One of the things about that people have to understand about when we say like Canaanland Moors, right? This is something that has never been done out here. So everything that we do is shocking, right? So one of the brothers, Tallahassee Al-Bay, when he engages people, Islam fam, when he engages people, his first question to them is, what's your nationality? And they're going to say, oh, it's black, it's Jamaican, it's African, Canadian, I'm from Trinidad. Well, my ancestors came from Africa. Well, we came over here on a slave ship and, I'm here, so I guess I'm African. Like, nobody's clear. You go ask somebody from Asia or East Asia or Europe what their nationality is. They'll tell you immediately. And when they tell you, you not even knowing who they are or what their motive is or whatever, right? Them saying what their nationality is, you're going to be able to, in your mind, put a flag to it, put a landmass to it, put a culture to it, put a certain way that people dress to it, put a language to it, put a religion to it, you're going to be able to tie all these things together, you know, that all these people have that encompass this thing called nationality, right? Which is the shield, right? This is why we always get abused and taken advantage of by other people, because we do not have a shield. You're not going to go in a battle with no shield, right? That's why in battle, the sword was in the shield. So you're not leaving that. The shield is nationality to protect yourself against psychic attacks, right? So psychic attacks and dark negative energies. And this is from Mary Kurus, Kurus, copyright 2001. Now, remember too that this isn't about I got information from a European, I got information from a black guy, I got information from somebody who's black African, right? Because I was on a blog talk show the other day, and Black Dot was talking about how right now it's a different frequency right now. Not everybody who's vegetarian is righteous. And not everybody who's a pork eater is, you know what I mean? Right? There's something going on right now in the ethers. Right? Like the ethers are stimulating people. The ethers are vibrating on certain frequencies and allowing people to express certain things, right? So this is this lady's expression about this thing called psychic attacks, that you can go, it's not some, you know, spooky story or whatever. Like this is some real stuff that you go research. They have like PDFs and stuff like that, that like with doctors dealing with this topic, right? So psychic attacks are defined as manipulation of supernatural energies and forces. Psychic attacks occur when dark and negative energetic vibrations are sent from one individual to another individual or place, creating disturbances in the energetic and physical bodies of the person or place. This negative energy can be called spirit, entity, thought form, or dark negative energy. Each of these energies can create harmful effects within the person receiving them. Right? So when we say I'm black, that's a psychic attack on yourself. Because black, according to science, means death. And that's not opinion. That's not, you know, hearsay. Like that's fact. Because law is fact. Right? Law is not hearsay. Law is fact. Right? The science that treats positive law is the definition of jurisprudence. So law is a science. Law is not, you know, this guy's a judge and you're a, you know, plaintiff or defendant and there's attorneys and bailiffs. Like, that's not law. Law is science. Right? So if we look in any law dictionary, right, and you look up civiliter mortuus, civiliter mortuus. Civiliter mortuus means civilly dead in the eyes of the law. Right? Civilly dead in the eyes of the law is what civiliter mortuus means, a Latin word, or two Latin words. Okay? When we say that we're something that we're not, and the thing that we're saying we are has a foundation, right? We're not talking about the blackness of the universe. We're not talking about the blackness of the earth when the seed goes in there and brings forth trees and vegetation. We're not talking about the blackness of the womb. We're not talking about the blackness of our hair, right? We're talking about us identifying ourselves as something that we're not. And the thing that we're identifying ourselves as, black or Negro, which is Spanish for black, right? Those labels in law are civility mortuus titles. And that's what they are. It's not my opinion. If you identify yourself as a label that doesn't exist, that was created by somebody else, and it doesn't have any type of connection to international or national relations with other nations, it's not going to be considered. In law, it's notwithstanding. It has no legs. So it's dead. It's slumped over. It's not active. It's stagnant. And keep in mind that I'm saying it, not he is stagnant or she is stagnant. It is stagnant. And it doesn't have any protection from psychic attacks. It has no protection against psychic attacks. The problem with it is it doesn't know that it's really a living entity, and that it's supposed to govern itself a certain way, being a living entity.
So what's the correct way then to identify oneself?
And as we say, in this day and age, 2012, the best way would be Aboriginal, Indigenous, Autochthonous, I mean, you can, the main thing is identifying yourself, right? And connecting yourself to a landmass that exists right now in 2012. And if you research the treaties that these nations have with each other, you're going to see in the treaties that there's no treaties with African people. Like, that does not exist. There's no treaties that they have in the world that are documented as being legitimate treaties between nations that are between African people. There's no treaty that is between black people and Negro people and colored people. Right? And if you do any research, the only identification that you would really find in treaties would have the name, word, phrase, slogan, tag, more attached to it. And if we weren't under psychic attacks, we would be able to do like anybody else, right? You say you're black, cool. Do your research. And then you do your research about these people brought here. And then you trace it back into Europe. And right before Black history, right before these people got turned into slaves, right before these people lost their culture and lost their language and lost all these things that they say that they lost, they were called Moors for 700 years. 700 years, they were called this one name. And all of a sudden, they're called everything else except that name. And nobody's not putting two and two together. And we're supposed to be educated people that care about our families and care about our culture and want to uphold ourselves. And we're exercising this hypocrisy. Right? And everybody's involved in, psychic attacks. Because like you were talking about with your situation. A next person is getting psychic attacks that they can't even deal with. And now because you have affiliation with them, now you're taking on their psychic attacks. And now stuff's going messed up in your life and you don't even know, like, how come stuff's going on messed up in my life? I didn't do nothing to nobody. I'm a good person. I go to church and whatever. Right? When, somebody else put their stuff on you. Why? Because you have no nationality. And that's how serious nationality is. Because nationality is spiritual. People are going to play and pretend like, oh, that's white man stuff and the white man made that up. Nationality doesn't mean nothing. I'm a melanin being, whatever. Okay, that's cool. You could be a melanin being, but know that you saying that you're a melanin being, that's also something spiritual that you're saying. And spiritually, there's no connection spiritually to a people called melanin beings. It's like with the school, right? They're going to create this school and they're going to have all these labels that they can call the school, but they create a whole new label and call the school that, Afrocentric. Like that, like Toronto created that term. There's not a term called that. AFRI-centric school. There's nothing called Afrocentric in our as we call it, African or whatever culture. Right? It's something that doesn't exist. But they got a school. Right? And people are going there minus their nationality. Right? And under psychic attacks all day, every day. And that's supposed to be assisting us. Right? Mother Earth and all of us who live on her are surrounded by many mysterious, supernatural, and beautiful energies, including intelligent energies, angels, and guides. We are affected by the energies of all the planets, including the sun, the moon, other planets, asteroids, and stars. At the same time, we are also exposed to many negative energies, entities, spirits, and intelligent energies which can affect us in so many different ways. Ancient societies and psychic attacks. Societies from ancient times to the present have worked with psychic attacks and dark negative energies. Now you're going to know who's talking when we start going through this part. The African and Haitian people practice voodoo and black magic. North American and European cultures practice black magic and witchcraft. Indian, Chinese, and South American tribes have similar practices. Australian Aboriginals practice something called pointing the bone. Similar practices are recorded from ancient times and continue to be practiced today in all societies. In medieval times, they burned people for practicing witchcraft. This is what I'm from. Psychic attacks. What are they? Psychic attacks involve the manipulation and movement of different types of dark energies, entities, and spirits. They involve the transferring of dark and negative energies into someone's physical and or energetic bodies. So that's like what we're talking about outside. That you're not just what you see. There's also another part of you that's unseen, that exists and is participating just as the physical is participating at the same time. Right? They involve the transferring of dark and negative energies into someone's physical and or energetic bodies. Some of the dark energies and entities that find their way into physical and energetic bodies at homes are sent without awareness, even though they are sent by humans. Others are sent intentionally to create harm and damage, often to control, manipulate, or punish the individual. They can involve ritualistic techniques or ceremonies or use the psychic powers of the mind or a combination of both. So when somebody says, okay, yeah, I'm into occult, and they draw a pentagram on the floor and they have Ouija board or whatever, if they're not applying the mental aspect to it, they're not doing anything. They're just spinning wheels. And all those people coming together is what makes the ritual manifest. Because when they do those rituals, they usually have more than one person. Right? And then the one person who goes into the thing, that one is the one that's going to be invoked with the dark or the positive energy. Right? This is just like with us with the Orishas. And Olokun just jump in a sister, and the sister just starts rambling off some stuff. You know what I mean? Takes off her top or whatever, ties a head rag on her head, go grabs a stool, sits down, and just starts licking you with it. Because we have control over the ethers. But what's given that the spark to work? Because people are going to say, well, back in ancient times, they didn't have nationality. Okay, yeah, they didn't have nationality, but they had empires and kingdoms, which is nationality. So they could play around with it if they want to. But nationality is the order of the day, even from ancient times. And nationality is not something new, some new concept. That's standard concept. If we go back and we look at all these ancient movies, Long Ships and all these movies, right? Everybody's repping one uniform. There's not no when they talk about, like in the Long Ships, right? Sidney Poitier, he's the head. And everybody who under him, they're in one uniform. And then when you go check the people are, they're just going on with everyday life. But why is the focus on him? Why is the focus on this brother in a movie playing a ruler? But we're supposed to be slaves that came from Africa. But there's this guy playing a ruler? Right? And nobody's, everybody's going to look at that from the entertainment perspective. Yeah, give him some awards. But when Roots comes or whatever, like everybody's hugging that up. Right? Everybody knows Roots back to back to front, all the lines, everything. Tell me one line in Long Ships. Nothing. Mute. When Long Ships is really the story about who you are. And the other thing is the psychic attack. Right? Because the ethers, the physical and energetic bodies could be manipulated by other individuals. And they don't have to be in your face when they attack you. They could just put a word in the ethers, and all it takes is one person to say, hey, you know what? I'm black and I'm proud. I'll make a song about that. Everybody's on that. Throwing psychic attacks to each other in the place, singing the song. don't even know what, don't even, you know what I mean? Like, why is it, you know, when like people know when you go, if you're a clubber, right, and you used to go to the club and whatever, right, like you go into trance when you go in the club, right, like you go into trance in there. People just throwing water on people and it's not even nothing. You know what I mean? You go to some of these calypso jams and those things. You tell me those people are in trance? Using the energies. You know? But what are you using it for? Are you using it just to create all this energy? Right? So they're going to have a big dance in the Masonic Hall. Right? All these people are going to go in there. You know what I mean? People bubbling on each other and dancing and, you know what I mean? Just creating all this energy. And then all these people leave. That energy is not leaving with them. And then you have these guys coming tomorrow now to go have their little Masonic meeting. With all this energy up in this place. From last night. That's how they're in power. Using our stuff against us. But spiritually. Not physically. Right? It is difficult for anyone to penetrate an aura that is healthy and strong. Right? Okay, so you can actually protect yourself. Right? Your aura could actually be a force field around you. Right? That I do my rituals before I go outside, because I know when I go on that bus, all these entities and these crazy people around here, right? And you know that your aura is working because you'll be on the bus chilling,
and nobody's around you.
And nobody's around you.
Breastplate of righteousness.
You know what I mean? You know? And people are deliberately avoiding that seat next to you, and that seat next to you, and that seat right in, especially the seat in front of you. Nobody wants the seat that's right in front of you. Everybody's running from that seat. You know what I mean? Right? You know? Right? Jacob climbed Pioneer, looked at God face to face, and his life was preserved. You know? Because that's the power that we have. But you don't have that power with no nationality. So don't even talk about how much ethers you've been in, and you know what I mean? How metaphysical you are. Right? You know? That's why we push Alim Bey, Phil Valentine L, from as far as the metaphysics is concerned, because they have nationality. They know what they're talking about. You know? No disrespect to anybody that doesn't have a nationality. Right? Keep doing what you're doing, but it's more potent. The people who have nationality, their message is going to be delivered to the specific people that need to get that message. You know, just the other day I had to tell Phil Valentine L that it was his DVD is what woke me up. His DVD made the light bulb go off. Effects of slavery is within you. Right? Like, and when it tapped me, it was because, you know, he was trying to connect to the youths on a spiritual level. But only those youths who were on that level would even catch what was going on. You know? And again, that's an example of using the energies in the right direction. Right? It is difficult for anyone to penetrate an aura that is healthy and strong. Auras are weakened by repressed emotions, negative emotions, through the regular use of drugs and alcohol, through smoking cigarettes, and a variety of diseases. The physical presence of fungus, parasites, worms, or metal, chemical, or atomic poisons can seriously weaken an aura. It is important to understand that all illness begins in the aura and then eventually moves into the physical body. So if that's happening with illness, then that's happening with all these demonic spirits and stuff like that. It's not attacking you right away. It's seeping through your aura, through the cracks in your aura, because of, smoking cigarettes, negative emotions, repressed emotions, regular use of drugs and alcohol, fungus, parasites, worms, metal, chemical, or atomic poisons. And again, remember what we're talking about. The person who eats the most pork is not the negative person or the person that's doing something bad, right? It's about the energies and how are you vibrating. What are you vibrating on? What's really your frequency, right? It is important to understand that all illness begins in the aura, then eventually moves into the physical body. Therefore, the care and protection of your energetic body is as important as the physical body, so you can repel psychic attacks and stay strong and healthy. Dark spirits and entities. There are dark spirits and entities that can move into physical bodies and auras, affecting what people think, speak, do, desire, and feel. So, that's what I was saying. That wasn't the person. You know what I mean? And immediately you caught the play just by how they dealt with you. You know what I mean? The energy in their delivery of what they were saying. Like when somebody tells you something, you feel it in your stomach, like, oh, you got me with that one. You know that something's going on there. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the whole thing about the repressed emotions, negative emotions, and all that stuff. Because all those things burden you. And a burden is a weight. Right? So what people carrying around? You got feather burdens or you have mountain burdens. And the spiritual mountain is heavier than the physical mountain. The human who is invaded by these spirits or entities can take on the physical attributes, illnesses, and behavior of the spirit or entity, occupying the person to such a degree that there appears to be a complete personality change. Negative thought forms. Another major type of negative energy that can be sent to others is through negative thinking, anger, wishing harm to others, jealousy, animosity, seeking revenge, vindictiveness, or other forms of thought that are based in anger, rage, and fear. These are called thought forms, and they can be lodged in a person's body or various layers of their auras, causing a wide range of physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual difficulties. Degrees of strength of psychic attacks. Psychic attacks and other dark negative energies, entities, and spirits can have a wide range of effect from low to medium to high. The symptoms or changes in health or behavior can also range from low to medium to high. Not all health problems or behavior changes are caused by psychic attacks, since there can be so many causes for the same symptoms. Confusion often exists whether other physical and emotional difficulties are present in an individual's life. It's important to carefully assess all possible sources for the difficulties, including physical factors, energetic factors, and emotional factors. Symptoms of psychic attacks and dark energies. There are many different symptoms that can indicate negative and dark psychic energies, spirits, or entities. The following list identifies a few major symptoms. But these symptoms can also indicate other types of health problems, and it's important to investigate all possibilities. So they have on here, suddenly acting totally out of character, loss of memory, sudden ongoing fatigue for no apparent reason, a drained feeling, icy cold feeling on a part or all over your body, hearing voices, strange or recurring accidents, feeling someone is watching you, a loss of self-confidence, a sudden loss of energy, sudden illness that elude diagnosis, feeling someone touch you or bump into you when nobody is present, sensing a presence, sensing a large pair of eyes watching you or following you, sudden or irrational difficulties with finances or relationships, imagining monsters, animals, or frightening shadows, sudden depression without an apparent cause, seeming ongoing bad luck, visions or hallucinations, and it just goes on and on and on about all these things. All right, so just to get done with this part right here, how to eliminate psychic energies. There are a variety of methods available for eliminating dark and negative energies, entities, spirits, and thought forms. The following will give you many ideas of things you can do to help yourself. You will read many different methods and find a wide spectrum of suggestions regarding clearings. Spiritual clearing of intent. One of the most complex but most effective methods used to help clear yourself, your home, friends, or pets is through the following meditative spiritual clearing of intent. It is imperative as the first step that you call in special protection for yourself. Please do not try this clearing unless you are accustomed to working with intelligent energies from, okay, well, European, right? So what Bobby Hemmett did, what I did as far as the clearing perspective, is you apologize to your subconscious mind for allowing it to be filled with all the crap that you allowed it to get filled with over all the years of your, evolution. And upon, you'll have to come to the realization that, you have a conscious mind and a subconscious mind first, right? And when you go to that place, that quiet place yourself, you'll tap into your subconscious mind and you apologize. Because subconscious mind is like a child, it's just innocent, didn't do nothing but, everything that we watch on TV goes there that we didn't pick up with our five senses. Everything that happens around us that we didn't pick up with our five senses goes there. That's why little girls know how to whine at 5 years old. Not because they're watching their mom. There's a higher thing going on right now. Especially right now with this Aquarian age kicking off. Right? So, right, and then protecting visualization techniques from anger or revenge. The following is a visualization I have used many times that has worked well when used properly. Visualize that you are where you are and this other person is about 100 yards away from you. Then visualize a plexiglass wall that drops between the two of you. This glass wall is about 4 to 6 inches thick and is such that anything loving can penetrate this wall easily, while negative images or thoughts cannot be heard through this wall or in any way penetrate this wall. Hold the image of this wall and I guarantee that the angry voices and images will disappear almost immediately. This will give you real protection from angry thought forms so they cannot penetrate or lodge in your body or aura. And again, you could just go, into the whole psychic attacks and all those stuff, and there's like enough information on the topic, right? So we just wanted to get that out the way. So now, the issue at hand right now is all this confusion that's going on, right? That people try to attribute or people try to connect to active Moors, right? Like, we don't deal with confusion because we know what's good, right? It might appear that because you might see certain videos come out and you might think people have some type of effect on me with their psychic attacks, but like, I know that I'm protected, so it's not an issue for me as far as engaging certain people, right? Now, the noble prophet Drew Ali came in 1929 and put out some warnings that were supposed to be read every meeting. And these warnings were said to be read every meeting because of the big sellout that was going on and people trying to basically kill Noble Drew Ali, like get him out the way, because he's a threat to these people being able to keep up their psychic attacks. Right? He's an immediate threat. What he brought people, right? When they're talking about the rituals that you can do to protect yourself and to, clean your aura and all that type of stuff. The biggest ritual that you can do to clean your aura is every day in the mirror, 7 times. We're going to make the ritual right now, right? So we're going to make the ritual 7 times. You're going to go in the mirror every day. As soon as you wake up, get up out of your bed, you're going to go in the mirror and you're going to say, I'm not Negro, black, colored, Ethiopian. That's the ritual. So you can clear your aura. Because our auras are very dirty. Because we apply dirty labels to ourselves. And think that, nothing's happening. Or something's happening spiritually. Right? So Noble Drew Ali was coming to clear up all that. That's why we have, mental slavery and stuff like that. It's not because they took our culture, but because they're using psychic attacks on us. And we're open. And we just get psychic attacks. To the point where they'll just show a picture of, it's like they had a picture of a European man with a camera, right? And then there's a little African boy laying on the ground holding a snake that's wrapped around his leg, right? And they're putting it out like, oh, look at this guy, he's so racist or whatever. This guy's just sitting there, snake's attacking this guy, and this guy has his camera out, But, if you look at the picture, you see that that's the tail that's wrapped around the youth man. And if that snake was attacking him, the head will be wrapped around him. Right? Psychic attack. Because people took on that racism, psychic attack on themselves. Right? That idea that, oh yeah, this guy's racist. Also, then that means that's a black guy. Then that means he's a white guy. And now they're playing this game in their own mind. Right? Your schizophrenia? Yeah. They're playing that game with themselves, huh? The rest of the world, just like I was telling the people that on Facebook last week. I was talking with a German lady. And the German lady is telling me that for somebody to call themselves a black person is asinine. And that's the first time I ever heard that word. I had to go look up the word. And this is a German lady, European, that, black people will say, oh, you can't talk to her, she's the enemy. But where she comes from, that she doesn't even speak our language, she knows that there's nothing called a black person. Right? And obviously, she's free of certain psychic attacks. Because it didn't even penetrate. It's not even a thought in her mind that there's people called black people, white people, yellow people, brown people. It doesn't even exist in her mind. Like, she couldn't even put it together. She kept doing this and missing her own 2 fingers. And she just, I can't put this thing together. What do you mean? They call themselves black people. Like, I don't understand what you mean. And then the example that she used was St. Maurice. When you say black people, you mean like St. Maurice? And then St. Maurice is the patron saint of Germany that they know is a Moor. And he's called a Moor in Germany, M-O-H-R. And nobody, but she's the enemy, so we're not going to listen to her. right? That's just crazy cracker, right? So Noble Drew Ali warned the Moors since 1929 about these people that are trying to get him out the way so they can just bum rush them with psychic attacks, right? I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or in the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. The cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the temple or the prophet, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban or fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Drew Ali, and if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. So he's come to redeem the people from their sinful ways, and the people who have the people engaging in the sinful ways are trying to get him out the way. And he caught it and called them on it. Since 1929, called them on it. But nobody never heard anything. Everybody pretended like, we didn't get the letter. The hard times right now, it's almost a depression. Like we can't really read this in every meeting because we just can't read it. Even though it says on it to be read every meeting. So every single meeting, this is supposed to be read. So that the people could have a clear idea as to what's going on in the temple at this exact moment, 1929. Right? January. Right? The prophet is sending out a divine plea. Like, if you're pleading, you're in adversity. If you're sending out a divine plea to help, these guys are kicking my ass. Somebody. Like, you want somebody to come running. You don't want to be strolling up, like you want people to come running to your aid. But nobody ran to his aid. Everybody pretended like, nah, that's not going to happen. They can't kill the prophet. I mean, that's the holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali. He's like Jesus. He walked on water. Right? But they're looking at him in his face and shaking his hand and hugging him and, engaging him. Right? Like his brothers, because, any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feeling toward the prophet or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, he's talking about himself. He's not talking about everybody. He's saying, I'm right now, I'm alone right now. I don't know who to trust right now. I really don't know who to trust. So, since I can't trust anybody, I'll just put everything out there and people will pick up the pieces. Right? Because he was straight alone. Right? Now, we're going to go to what some of the black power people, like to say that the book called The Holy Quran of the Moorish Science Temple of America is off of the Aquarian Gospel, right? Well, the Aquarian Gospel doesn't have this in it. So, this is the chapter, A Holy Covenant of the Asiatic Nation, where he's talking about to violate the divine covenant, right? So, this is what the divine covenant is. Ye are the children of one father, provided for by his care, and the breast of one mother hath given you suck. Let the bonds of affection therefore unite thee with thy brothers, that peace and happiness may dwell in thy father's house. And when ye separate in the world, remember the relation that bindeth you to love and unity, and prefer not a stranger before thy own blood. If thy brother in his adversity, assist him. If thy sister is in trouble, forsake her not. So shall the fortunes of thy father contribute to the support of his whole race, and his care be continued to you all in your love to each other. But everybody violated that, right? So if that wasn't enough, he said, okay, you know what? I'm gonna put out another letter, because I don't think they really got the message in the first letter. So I'm gonna put out another letter now. Don't disregard the first letter. You still have to read that one in every meeting. Now there's another one to be read in every meeting, right? Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. Now, you're talking about an individual who his temple alone had like over 10,000 members, right? Like his temple only, and there was temples all over the place. And he's going to come and talk about he's glad to know that he has a few faithful Moors left. Like, hold on, you have any dictionaries on you? Let me get on the bridge right there. Or just get few for me. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. Right? So he's saying this to the few faithful Moors, letting them know really what's going on personally from him himself, that like there's only few of you that I can really trust. You have it there?
Few. It's an adjective.
Adjective.
Consisting of a small, indefinite number. It says a small number. At intervals of a small number of specified units. Scarce in number. That's pretty much it.
Scarce in number. What was the first one?
Consisting of a small, indefinite number.
A small indefinite number. So at this time, 1929, there was a small indefinite number of Moors that were faithful to the Prophet. And there's supposed to be all these members, thousands of members, and all these temples, branch temples all over the place. There was temples. Just like how we have churches today. There was temples, just temples everywhere. And he's talking about few. That's how deep like the sellout goes. That he himself had to say, it's going to take you guys 50 years to find out that I even came here. And 50 years would have gone by and you wouldn't even known that I even existed. And 50 and 50 is 100. And then he came in 1913, and 2013 is going to be 100 years since he came. And people don't even know about him yet. 100 years is going to reach, and there's going to people who don't even know about Noble Drew Ali. They know about everybody else. Like going down the line, like everybody. Like the runway of names of African liberation, they know. And he mentioned Noble Drew Ali, and people don't even know who he is. Right? Now, Prophet gets assassinated now, 1929. And he laid out certain things before he got assassinated. And the power from the Prophet went from the Prophet to a more by the name of Edward Mealy Eel. Right? So now, Edward Mealy Eel comes out now. Prophet's assassinated now, so he's out, technically out the picture. Not really, because, he said himself that I could do the work better on the soul plane, so, I'm out here. Right? Islam. These are critical moments, and all Muslims are required to follow instructions. During the life of our Prophet, he told us many things, but there was many things that he said he couldn't tell, but we would know after a while. So if he's not telling you, but you're going to know after a while, that's because you studied what he brought. Not because some grand sheikh or somebody you saw on YouTube video told you. Or Ustream. But because you saw what the Prophet brought, you read what the Prophet brought, you applied some of it, it worked, so, why not honor him? It worked. Why not uplift him? Instead of uplifting these people whose stuff doesn't work. And we continue to uplift these people whose stuff doesn't work and never worked and is not going to work. And all of that is 360 right back to psychic attacks. That Noble Drew Ali came and said, you're not Negro, black, colored. So any organization named Negro is supposed to be just wiped off. Any organization named black whatever, you're not even supposed to give it any attention. Any Negro association, you're not supposed to pay any attention. Any colored association, you're not supposed to pay anything. Anything having to do with Ethiopia, disregard that. Why did he say that? Because 1930 is when Haile Selassie got coronated. And 1929 is when Noble Drew Ali died. And he told you that you're not Negro, black, colored, or Ethiopian. Right? And what do they claim Haile Selassie is? Emperor of where? Oh, Ethiopia. Huh? No. And they say that, like from down in here they say that. But Noble Drew Ali said that you're not Ethiopian. And it comes back to the same thing. He said he couldn't tell, but we would know after a while. Because if you study, you realize that Ethiopia comes from Ethiops, which is Greek, and you're not Greek. So why are you calling yourself Ethiopian? And then when Haile Selassie was, Ras, when he was prince, and he went to the League of Nations, before all the madness going on with Mussolini and all that stuff, right? He went as the Emperor of Abyssinia. He went as representative of Abyssinia when he went back there. Later. It's in the document. Why did he come back into exile? Because, he realized that, I'm not Ethiopian. Well, why Rosa Parks sit in the front of the bus? Because I'm not black. Why am I going to sit in the black part of the bus? I'm not black. Oh, you guys are racist. Kicked her off the bus. No, because she was giving up the whole play. That, you're the white people. We're the white people. That's why we're supposed to sit at the front of the bus. Let those niggas go to the back. It would have been a whole different story if they let her stay on the bus. What would have went down if they let her stay on the bus? Right? Again, and during that time, same thing. Negro, black, color crap. Fighting for civil rights. Want to be able to sit on the bus and drink from the white fountain, go through the door that says white. Since he passed, He left his son who will guide you. Now, of course, the prophet's laws are all right, but there are plenty he couldn't write or put in book form. So someone had to tell you. Now some are going to believe it and some are not. But let me say to you as a brother who loves Israel, please don't be hard-headed. In the ADAP meeting last night, we were told not to eat meat, but to eat anything in the fish line with scales on it. That leaves out cat and eel. Eat fish and vegetables, etc., but no meat of any kind or any strong drinks until further notice. Please don't do any of these things until you hear from the Grand Body. Peace, your brother in Islam, Emily Il, Supreme Grand Sheikh. Now there's another letter. Dear Brother Payne L., I am reading your letter to Brother Thompson L. a few minutes ago, and in view of the wishes of our Prophet as laid down in his laws to me by himself, I wish to call our attention to the fact that it was his will that we hold the coming convention of 1929 beginning September 15th to the 20th of the same month. My objection is only that the date which was made by the Prophet be considered as law with me, and remembering also that he said, as long as you do what I tell you, you will be all right. But when you fail to obey my orders, you will have trouble. Having talked the matter over with all the governors, I find them all in favor of supporting the date of the convention as laid down by our Prophet. Now, as business manager, I am asking you to give away to the time of the Prophet's choice and arrange your dates accordingly, which begins September 15th to September 20th inclusive. This will also give them more time for preparation for the same. We must do all we can for peace, that a progressive advance may manifest itself in all of our actions. This is done also as well, trusting this meets your approval. I am your brother in Islam, Emily Il. Then the other writing from Emily Il. Islam, Brother C. Kirkman Bey. This is to notify you that the above named organization, Moorish Science Temple of America, in convention September 15th to 20th, rescinded by voting out the mistake made by the second annual convention of 1929. And in doing so, you hold your membership roll, as when our Prophet was here. And we hope that you will still cooperate with the organization under the 5 principles. We hope further that you will comply with this notice and govern yourself accordingly. And there is but one Supreme Grand Advisor in the Moorish Science Temple of America, that being Noble Drew Ali. And no one else attempting to be, from now on, is assuming authority of himself, and is liable to the penalties of the law. Peace. Moorish Science Temple of America, Noble Drew Ali founder, Emily Il chairman. So, even after the Prophet, the person who was handed down the scepter, even they had to deal with the sellout. And people have this misconcept that that's what the confusion is. You know, infighting. It's not fighting. It's the sellout versus the Moors who didn't sell out. The few faithful Moors, which still today numbers few. Because majority of people who were in the temple between 1930 and now either left the temple because they were like, forget this, went underground and just kept whatever they had to themselves and didn't even talk about it, didn't bring it up just because of how messy like it got. You know, like there's like 1,000-page FBI papers on the Moorish Science Temple. A majority of that is from 1930 on. Right? Which leads to why is it that you know, like all of our leaders get taken out? How come it's like it's something that just happens so easy? Like it just happens so easy. Like leader just gets taken out just like that. Now you be watching a DVD today, and then tomorrow, yo, you know so and so died. You know Van Serma died. You know Kwame Ture died. You know this guy died. You know this lady died. it's like, what's going on? What's really going on? You know? And then how come it's like certain leaders? How come certain leaders are still around? How come nobody's not taking those guys out? You know? Like, why is there certain leaders still around right now? And certain other ones they took out. Right? So in every class we read this, so you should already know what's good, where we're going right now. Executive Order 11490, October 19th, 1969. This executive order was authorized October 1969 to counteract the minority, blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites in their rise up from under the depression and powers that be, the government. And we talked about the 12 minority organizations that are under 24-hour surveillance by the Department of Justice, FBI, and CIA. Black Muslims, Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee, Congress of Racial Equality, Euro Movement, Group on Advanced Leadership, Freedom Now Party, United Black Nationalists of America, New Pan-African Movement, National Urban League, National Association of the Advancement of Colored People, Committee on Racial and Religious Progress. And then there's 12 organizations that are listed, right? Now, FBI papers have Morris Science Temple as an organization that was infiltrated. So how come the Morris Science Temple didn't make King Alfred plan? And all these other ones are in here. Like, everybody else is pretty much in here as far as an infiltrated organization. But it doesn't say Morris Science Temple in here. But you can go right now, Freedom of Information Act, and they'll give you the FBI papers for the Morris Science Temple of America. Like, it's accessible. It's not something hidden, secret, you know, keep it out of the public. Like, you can go get it. They also got FBI papers on Fard Muhammad and the NOI that you should probably go check too, because there's some interesting stuff in those stuff. As far as them being founded and how they came into prominent power all of a sudden. You know, just all of a sudden, you know, Temple of Islam turns into the Nation of Islam, and then it just takes off. Right? So our perspective is that if the Morris Science Temple is on the list, then they're going to give up that, you know, there's this organization that they're actually giving attention to, right? Because remember, this is a military document that's not supposed to be in the public. So the public doesn't know that all these organizations are infiltrated. They think they're going there for their liberation, right? And again, that's the psychic attack. Because Joali told you that you're not Negro, you're not black. There's a black thing right there. Pan-African, National Advancement of Colored People, right? Black nationalists. You're not supposed to even deal with those stuff. If you listen to what the Prophet brought, that you're not Negro, black, colored, and you said your mantra every morning, as soon as you see black things, you're not even going to pay it attention. Just like the German lady didn't pay it attention. You know? Now, even though the Morris Science Temple is not on the list, right? They do make a statement about the minority in saying that he will be a formidable enemy, for he is bound to the continent by heritage, and knows that political asylum will not be available to him in other countries. And they're talking about the minority: blacks, Indians, Latinos, Puerto Ricans, and poor whites. Right? And the reason why poor whites are on the list because of the Melungians and the half-breeds that were darker than the other ones. The whole blackface idea is really mockery of them. It wasn't mockery of us. It was mockery of their own. That, didn't really fit in on that side. So they were kind of exiled. Right? That's why it says poor whites. And who are those poor whites? Those poor whites are the same ones that, we knew growing up. You had that one, quote unquote white boy that, he wasn't really not down. He wasn't trying. He wasn't wiggering. You know what I mean? Like, he was actually like a brother. Like, he could actually chill. He didn't have a, goofy nickname and those type of stuff. Like, he was actually around. Like, yeah, you're like one of the band them. You know what I mean? Right? But he was a European. How come? Cause DNA. Right? Deeper than just the apparent, like we're saying. Right? Deeper than the apparent. Black Muslims, all these organizations that appear to be for our people, but all of them are infiltrated. So any logical person would say, well, if you're going to say that about those ones, then the Moorish Science Temple was infiltrated too. Yeah, but the Moorish Science Temple is only one faction of the Moorish movement. Because the Moorish Divine and National Movement, like Noble Jawali talked about in the warning that he said to be read every meeting, and told the people that this is your movement. He didn't say this is your Moorish Science Temple. He said this is your movement. Your Divine and National Movement. But if you don't want it, it's okay. Right? You're only causing a disservice to yourself because now you're leaving yourself open for psychic attacks. That you're going to get. That you're not going to be able to control because you have nothing. Like you're just getting this stuff and you don't even know where it's coming from. You just know that you're just being bombarded daily, every single day, 24 hours a day. You can't even sleep without feeling like, yo, something's going on. Why can't I sleep? I'm up till 5 in the morning. I have work in an hour. I'm only going to get an hour's sleep. You get an hour's sleep, you wake up stressed, spill coffee on yourself, lose your keys, and all because of psychic attacks. Right? And I know, because crazy used to, my mom used to ask me, what's wrong? You always bumping yourself and stuff. Why are you bumping yourself like that? Like, what, is something wrong with you? You know what I mean? Something's always bump. Always come home with something. Scratch. Always falling down. Knees bandaged up. Falling down. Regular. Right? Psychic attacks. As a youth. Don't even know what's going on. Just doing things, that you just think it's the norm, I guess. Even though nobody else is doing it. Right? Just like with us, nobody else calling themselves colors. Nobody else in the world is calling themselves continents. Nobody else is making up flags and going amongst their people and saying, yeah, we're the nation of whatever, you know what I mean? But then when it comes to the international community, oh yeah, my name's John, I'm Frank, I'm Jeffrey, right? Because there's the game is you're not Negro, black, colored. If you fall for that, you're done for. On every single level. Political, economic, social, educational, whatever. Spiritual. Because nationality is missing, is void. And it leaves us open. That's not my opinion. We read the European lady, or whoever she is, say that it's a real thing. Giving you, somebody's not going to give you some remedies for something if it's, how to protect yourself from certain things. Right? But what we have to remember is that everybody already has that out there. We're the ones that are lacking it, right? And lacking it not in the sense of needing something to verify that we are who we say we are, but knowing it in our heart and our mind about who we are, and just going and going on that frequency, right? But why can't we do that? Why is there this issue? Because psychic attacks. And until these people out there realize that they're not Negro black colored and say their mantra in the morning, in the mirror every morning, like, we can't do nothing for those people. You know? And then they're going to say that it's us. No, it's not us. Like, you have no nationality. Like, what do you want me to do? You're not mad that the Chinese not helping you. You're not mad that, you know, the Hindus aren't helping you. Right? If they were so mad that, you know, well, okay, how come the Koreans aren't helping you? But you're going to their store, you're funding them, but they're not helping you. Or like King Alfred Plan says, political asylum will not be available to you in other countries if you're a minority, Negro, black, colored. But they will come over here and they would rape your land, rape your women, rape your children. We're watching a thing today. They have this big statue somewhere with a man eating babies in Europe somewhere. Big statue. The man just taking a bite out of a baby's head. And he's got all these babies in his hand like this. Right? That's what we're up against. Baby eating people. Right? And that's why we're so vulnerable. Because baby eating guy has a nationality. And that's where he's getting his power from to take advantage of us. And it's real simple. It's not even advanced. Everybody in the world, if we go and speak with everybody who does not look like us, if you don't tell them that you have a nationality, they're going to deal with you like you're black. Right? It's only certain people, mainly quote-unquote Asians or Asiatics, that wouldn't make that assumption when they see us, especially people like us with locks, because they always want to come touch our hair. And, oh my gosh, wow, you know. Just like my empress was on the bus the other day, Asian lady just like straight had her hair, like just, wow, like just blown away. She had locks. That's just locks. Like, no conversation, no trading of history or spiritual books or whatever. That's just hairstyle. Ladies tripping on the bus. Like, people watching. Like, that's how she's tripping on the bus. Right? What's that? That's her tripping? No, that's her DNA. That tapped something in her ancestrally. You know? Like, it's where it's at right now. It's about nationality. Guaranteed. Things would change so much. Not even just as an individual, but because while you're ridding yourself of all these, you know, spiritual diseases that you have, that you've piled onto yourself, right? You're also protecting yourself by enforcing you're not Negro, black, colored. You're not Negro, black, colored. You're not Negro, black, colored. You're not Negro, black, colored Ethiopian. You're not Negro, black, colored Ethiopian or African American. You're not Negro, black, colored Ethiopian or African American or Trinidadian or Jamaican or whatever. And you just say your mantra and crack the spell. Because really, that's what is going on. People can think, yeah, oh yeah, the Moors are crazy. They're talking the crazy shit about, you know, the European was made in a lab and, you know, he was taken into Europe and he doesn't really have a home and all this type of stuff. I don't know what they're talking about. Oh, they're saying I'm not black? What do you mean I'm not black? How can I not be black? This guy says that I'm black. That guy says, no way I'm not black. All right, do your thing. Don't get mad. Like, don't get mad. Don't say you weren't told. Because really and truly, like, you know, we've been beating a dead horse since 1929. Moors that stuck to the principles. And the problem is that the people don't want to go and research Noble Drew Ali for themselves. They want somebody to tell them. They want somebody to show them. But, you know, that's part of, you know, ridding yourself of, you know, you need master to help you do something. You know, your master could be your brother. Don't get it twisted either. That master is only a European. Or there's some of your brothers that will put your ass in slavery. They would straight put you in slavery. They'll put you in some spiritual and physical slavery. Like I see King Noble have some people in some serious slavery. Have people with leash on their neck and those type of stuff there. And then what are they repping? That black stuff. What is it? I'm on. It's black conscious people putting up fat ass girl pictures on Facebook. It's not dead people. It's conscious people. People who are like good up here are gonna say a picture is sexy. You tell me they're not under psychic attacks? You're gonna look at a picture and tell me a picture is sexy? A picture that, you know, something print on a page. They'll tell me that's sexy. And you don't think that the world is not thinking something's definitely wrong with you? On top of that, you're calling yourself black, Negro, colored, African, and all this stuff? And then there's these so-called people who all those people think are crazy people wearing some funny hats, but when you look throughout the history, that's the only name that you see in all the history, Moors. Like I'm saying, for 700 years in Europe. We're not even talking about anywhere else in the world. Europe only. 700 years of Moorish history. Black history is not that long. Black history is 400 years. Moorish history is 700 years. And they're going to say that that's their history? And they expect the world to respect that? And get mad when the world throws stones at them and wants to stone them to death? And has things like King Alfred planned? Right? And saying that, you know, we suggest that vaporization techniques be employed to overcome the bottleneck or the evidence that we're doing, you know, mass elimination of minorities. But if we think that, you know, nationality is just some stupid shit, I don't have to deal with that, forget that nationality shit or whatever, then yo, cool, do your thing. If you really think that, you know, because Moors say, you know, do you have your paperwork? You know, how are you identifying it? What are you identifying yourself with? Do you have a nationality card from the Moorish Science Temple of America? Do you have paperwork to go along with that? Well, papers can't save you, card can't save you. No, it can't. But we're not, you know, only here physically. Noble Drew Ali said divine and national movement. So nationality is divine and national. And we're going to come back here anyways because, you know, obviously we didn't do the job. Because 2012, we're still calling people Negro, black, colored. Which is an abomination to, you know, the ancestors and everybody. Because you're not even calling yourself an animal. You're calling yourself an adjective. You're calling yourself below an animal. Willingly. And when we look at the, you know, all the people who have problems, you know, they themselves would say they live in the hood. They live in the ghetto. They live in the projects. Okay, well, all those places everywhere in the world, places that are identified as those places, those people are non-entities as far as that community goes. Those people are outcasts of society. And we're willingly accepting these things, right? And majority of the problem of why we are where we are, really and truly, is because of dirty Moors. It's not even because of the black guys and the Nation Islam and the UNIA and these people who are calling themselves something that they're not. It's really people who have turbans and fezzes on that say that they're Moors that aren't doing their job. That's the real problem. That's the problem that Noble Drew Ali said is the problem. Few faithful Moors. He's not talking about everybody out there. He's talking about the people that are amongst him that have made a contract or made a covenant with the Asiatic nation. Right? Noble Drew Ali himself said, our papers are our only hope of shoveling ourselves out from under the avalanche of lies that are annually let loose upon us. Right? Our papers. Whose papers? Our papers. Whose are? The Moors. Why? Why is the Moors paper going to be the paper that shovels ourselves out from under the avalanche of lies? Because the Moors are the ones that put the truth out. Because that's our job. And we've been doing that since antiquity under different names. And it's a pattern. They're always waiting for us to bring the Renaissance. Always. Like we think that they don't know about us. You think they didn't know who their creator was? You think they weren't in Europe throwing pee out of the window and bathing 4 times a year? You think they didn't know that the Moors were coming? You think they didn't have prophecy in their own culture? That the ancients are going to come again and all that? Right? To save them? Which is what was done in Argentina? That the Moors saved them after they got created. It's the Moors that took them and actually put them into somewhere where the climate is more compatible for their skin, so they're not going to suffer and burn. They're waiting. They know that it's us that has to do it. But I guarantee you, they'll take their life before they let a Negro black colored save them. International community is going to go out and they're going to fight with pitchforks and whatever before they make a Negro black colored person their friend and invite them over to their house and all that. Because they're not worthy. Right? Just like the Moors, right? That me personally, like I call them niggers. Right? Because if you're going to undermine the prophet, you don't, like, you're not even dirty. You're below dirty. If you're going to undermine the prophet and everything that he brought. Obviously, they didn't read what he brought because they were inserted to be around him, to try to get all the information to eventually get him out, which they did. You know, but they thought that it was just about the physical. They thought it was, yeah, once we take him out, then, you know, everything's done. We don't have to do nothing no more because, you know, prophet's not here. So party hardy, raid the treasury. You know, we're going to go build big mausoleums for ourselves and call ourselves the reincarnated prophet. We're going to start up all these organizations and take all these funds that he built up for the Moors so they can have something. He never did anything for himself. Everything that he did was for the Moors. That were calling themselves Negro black color, that he told them, don't call yourself that so you can claim something. Because it's right here for you. Right? There's $1 million in gold and silver in a bear trap. But you have to admit that you're more to be able to get that. And the bear trap knows about your spirit and whatever, so you can't try to, you know, you have a more and then grab it because the trap would close on you. And then that's what he did with the Moorish Science Temple of America. Because the Moorish Science Temple of America is not what it is. The Moorish Times Temple of America is the last part to be brought on to divine and Moorish, the Moorish divine and national movement. That was the last part that was brought on, right? But that last part that was brought on, its application is religious and civic. It's not just a religious organization. And how do you know it's civic? Because it has a Rotarian complexion. And Rotarian has to do with humanitarianism. And humanitarianism is civics. Right? That's why, how you know that humanitarian is civics? What do they do every time somebody does something humanitarian? When these guys go stop people from killing whales and killing seals and stuff. Right? They arrest them. Why? Because they're being humanitarian. And that's a violation to the corporate construct. That's why all these youth workers take the check and sell themselves. Because you can't pretend to be conscious in this corporate construct. This corporate construct would eat you alive. Just like the bear trap. Because it knows that you have no nationality. Because you got locks, dashiki, and all that, we're going to torment you even more now. Especially with those locks that you got there, because they know, just like the Asian lady, the power of the locks. Right? They know. It's not a secret. Who is it that are the people that they want to come and talk to their youth and help their youth, because our youth are going crazy, they're at risk? The Rasta man. How come? Because you could relate to these youths. You know what I mean? Why? Because we're defiant, because we have locks. And that's the most defiant thing that you can do. Go natural. Going natural is the most defiant thing that you can do. Oh, but natural is synonymous with nationality. So when you have a nationality, you're actually being natural. And if you don't have a nationality, you're being fake or artificial. That's why they call them colored people. Because the science that treats positive law says that colored is artificial. Just like it says black is death. He breaks everything down so simple, nice and easy. All the booklets are, you know what I mean? Like, these are all these booklets, right? Like, this is reasonable if you want salvation. And you have to go find your culture and go read. Okay, how about reading Noble Drew Ali stuff? Because he brought the smallest stuff, but it's the most potent. Right? People are gonna go, go drive. They get sick and they are on neocitrin and aspirin and all these things, right? And they could just go suck on some ginger, or drink some ginger tea, and you'll be all right. Suck on a clove of garlic, you'll be all right. It's not about the big extravagant stuff. It's about the simple things. The meek shall inherit the earth. Why? Because simple things we have to deal with. You know what I mean? So we have energy. How is the meek going to inherit the earth? The meek's going to inherit the earth by being on it. By existing on it. By going and seeing it. And you know what I mean? How are you going to do that? You're not going to do that if you're enslaved to these Romans. Because they're trying to be the meek and inherit the earth. Through deceit. and trickery. And just like King Alfred planned, dirty Moors jumped in line. They said that they wanted their check. How come the temple's not on this? Because they don't have jurisdiction in the Moor Science Temple. But Moors could give them jurisdiction though. Right? If this is my juice and I claim this juice as mine, right? You can't come and take it from me, but I can give it to you without handing it to you like this. Right? I can give it to you if I just rest it down and I don't say anything and I go out the door and I go about my business. If you take it and drink it, it's not a fault on you. It's a fault on me for not making a claim when I left it. And before Noble Drew Ali left, he made all these claims. Few faithful Moors, it's your movement, protect the Prophet, protect the temple. There's a host of jealousy because of my fame and nobility. Like he left all these clues. And we're supposed to play Sherlock Holmes with this. We're not supposed to take, the fact that, well, I went to the temple and, Noble Drew Ali seemed interesting to me, but when I went to the temple, they were doing some religious stuff in there and they were praying and clapping and saying Noble Drew Ali and singing, and I just didn't want to get down with that, so I didn't even bother going anymore. That's the wrong concept. You just defaulted yourself. Because what you see, people exercise. If that's not in line with what Noble Drew Ali said, then they can't, even if they say they are Moor Science Temple of America, they're not really that. It's just like if there's a guy selling bootleg Nikes, he's not Nike. And you'll be an idiot to assume that he's legit if you know that that's bootleg stuff. Like, why are you going to go for the bootleg stuff if you know that that's bootleg? And then get mad when, people challenge you on, why are you wearing bootleg stuff? What do you mean? This is real. This is real. No, that's bootleg. Now, you can't tell me this is bootleg, man. I paid $300 for these, man. This is real. Right? Forcing other people to accept the fraud. And trust me, it's so beautiful when somebody assumes that you're black and you tell them that you're a Moor, and their whole their aura shatters and they just become this, this jelly in front of you because they don't know what to do. They've never really engaged this before. This is new to them because, they already have it in their mind that we're black, Negro, colored, African, dumb nigger, at risk. You need Ritalin. Here's a pill. That's how they look at all of us, no matter how we dress, that's how they do it. That's why it's important to make a claim. Because that's what people say. Well, they're going to assume that you're black anyways. Yeah, if you don't say anything, they'll assume that you're black. But if you do at least proclaim your nationality. Right? And with earlier, right? You can say Aboriginal, Indigenous, whatever. But Moor is potent. When you say I'm a Moor with some confidence, like that cramples people's spirit that are trying to come at you, that are trying to put these negative attacks on you that you might not really know. That's why we're saying about the mantra, because that it's like when one of the brethrens, Jupiter, KTS, right, we started doing this ritual called Purple Flame. And purple flame was just a ritual that you do when you go in your car so you don't see police. You just engulf the car in purple flames and it becomes invisible to police. And that's just a ritual that do when you, as soon as you go in the seat, you just do your little, and all right, let's go now. And what it is, just like the thing saying, putting a plexiglass between you and them, right? And you're able to do whatever you have to do with the plexiglass there, but anything on the other side trying to counteract your positive, inspirational, direction is going to be stopped immediately. Just because you're using your mind power, you're using your spiritual power, you're using your etheric power, you're using your electric power, your current, you're using everything. And yeah, we can do some rituals and we can do some things, but believe me, if you don't have nationality, why you think like they said, the African culture, they practice voodoo and whatever. Yeah, but it's not because they cut the head off the best or because they said the magic word. It's because that's their culture. That's why it works. That's why somebody else is going to try that and it's not going to work. Because that's not your culture. You have no attachment to that. You can't try to do that and you have no attachment to it. Right? And this is what nationality does. Right? People are going to say whatever, but it's experience I'm talking from. Right? Because I was doing the mantra of I'm not Negro black colored, I'm not Negro black colored, I'm not Negro black colored. When people approach me on that level and I address them that, I don't really get down with that, it's a whole different thing. They open up. They're not that, grab their purse when they see us type of mentality. You know what I mean? They're not there, you study body language and, you know people's vibe. You already know as soon as you interact with them. Whether they're defensive or whatever, you already know, right? And when you deal with nationality, people open up. Like their spirit and everything like opens up like, thank you, Lord. Finally, I can actually have a conversation with one of these people who looks like these people that I call God and it not be about basketball or something crazy, hair or something, right? And when we say Noble Juali and we mention Noble Juali, we're not talking about no follower perspective. We're talking about he laid out a guideline and then you just go and just follow the guideline. And see what you come up with when you follow the guideline. Don't even hear what I'm saying. What I'm saying is void because everything I'm saying applies to me because of my experience dealing with this. That's how I know that it's real. But that's not really a judge for other people because experience is really the judge. It's like one of the brothers right now going to court, like getting it. They're putting stuff off. They're doing processes that are just fraud and, and I'm showing them, yeah, they're doing that because they're colored. Right? Just like black people are colored. If you're colored, you're going to do messed up stuff. That's just how it goes. If you're colored, you're going to be in messed up situations. If you're colored, you're going to find yourself somewhere where you're not, getting shot in the arm, getting shot in the leg, in the ankle, or something like that. You might lose your life. Just because you try to vibrate on this frequency that's not really you. That's how come the good die young. Right? Just one time not listening. And that one time not listening is going to cause something to happen down the road that you're not even going to be expecting. There are people they have their BlackBerry walking into people. Like that could be a bus that you're walking into. Just because of this little plastic thing that you have in your hand? You tell me that's not a psychic attack? That somebody's gonna be, they're gonna blank out what's going on around them to focus on this thing right here. And they don't know nothing else that's going on. They don't even have the peripheral vision to see that there's something around there. Oh yeah, there's somebody coming up, so let me, at least look up or something. They're just etched into this thing. That's not real. Like people, it's like we were saying with common sense, right? If common sense isn't common, like that's not something that equates. Everybody's supposed to have common sense. Like everybody's supposed to have common sense. No, okay, you're not Negro black colored. My shirt's black, and I don't look like my shirt, so okay, I can't be black. Period. Like there's no, well, the universe is black, and Kemet means black, and this means black, and that means black, and that's our culture. What does that have to do with your identity? What does that have to do with who you are? And the horse is dead. Horse is dead, bones all broken up, but we're still beating that horse. Because it's 100 years later and there's still people calling themselves black today. 100 years later. Let Muhammad come and say, you're not Negro black colored. Let Buddha or Confucius or Yahshua say you're not Negro black colored. You think these people would follow? Right? And it's not like prominent people aren't saying it. I was talking with even one of the brothers were telling me about the whole True Master vibes. That True Master is locked up still right now. And that the Moors that put him on are like invisible. Like nobody don't know where them there. That man's like inside right now. And then outcasted because, when you start exercising on Moorish nationality, people are going to think you're a crazy person. And they're going to automatically not even deal with you, really. They're going to deal with you if they really appreciate you. But really and truly, you get on nationality, people cut you off, huh? Like people eliminate you from their life when you start dealing with birthrights and nationality. Eliminate you. Right? And then people get in those situations thinking that they're in that situation because of a negative. Right? They're in that situation because what you did was wrong. No, they're in that situation because they're prominent. Because they're somebody who has influence. And if they say that you're not Negro black colored, probably a few thousand people are going to go with that. Just because they said it. And the psychic attacks is a real thing. Like it's not a joke thing. Right? Find out what Moorish nationality and birthrights is. Go to a Moorish science temple. Even if it's religious or whatever. Go there. You know what I mean? Because that's the only real salvation. Is getting on what we were before slavery. The 700-year history that's there, that nobody denies, everybody talks about with, nobody talks about with no malicious intent or nothing like that. Everybody that talks about the history of the Moors talks about it from a perspective that if it wasn't for these guys, we don't know what would happen to Europe. That's everybody's perspective that talks about that part of world history that we detach ourselves from. But we accept everything else. Like we accept that we're the first Asians. We accept that we're the first people in Cambodia. But these people would not accept that they're Moors. Like, that has to be some type of sorcery. Has to be. The whole world knows that we're Moors. The whole world in their own language calls us Moors. And the only people in the world are these people in the Caribbean and everything north of Mexico. Have this weird concept in their mind that they're everything but what the world knows them as. That must be sorcery. And witchcraft and, everything. Hexes and like everything. They must be running some serious stuff on us. If we can't get these little simple things that everybody else is doing around us every single day. Every single day, there's somebody doing something with regard to nationality around us. And we're complaining. Right? It's like how these guys have Markham and whatever, and they haven't even fixed the street on Eglinton West. That's supposedly, the black strip. Right? In the city. Right? Like, that's where you're gonna go. And they haven't done nothing to that street ever since that street's been laid down. They haven't done anything to repair nothing. And there's people that are coming from other countries here and they're getting communities built. Like houses, not apartment communities, housing communities, properties fenced in. Their own language in where they live, in Canada, in Toronto, where they live. Their store signs are in their own language with no English. In Toronto. That's nationality because of that. So, again, just so we can let people know again that it was a sellout. You have a prophet that people have been hiding from you. And he put this warning out. 2 warnings. Right? First warning, January 15, 1929. I hereby inform all members that they must put an end to all radical and agitating speeches while on their jobs, homes, or on the public streets. We advocate peace and not destruction. Stop trying out your cards with the Europeans, for it causes confusion. There has been much confusion caused by members trying out their cards. These cards are for your salvation. Failure of obeying my orders will be of severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, and when these principles are violated, justice must then take its course. Any member or group of members that seek to hold malicious feelings toward the prophet or the temple, or to violate the divine covenant of the Moorish movement, will receive their reward from Allah for their unjust deeds. All true Moors must obey the laws laid down to them by their prophet, and if they lose confidence in their prophet, give up your card and button, cease wearing your turban and fez, and return to the state where I, the prophet, found you. For this is a holy and divine movement founded by the prophet Noble Juali. And if the prophet is not right, the temple is not right. The prophet is sending out a divine plea to all true Moorish Americans that they may do their part in protecting their prophet and the temple. This is an everlasting movement founded by the prophet through the will of Allah to redeem his people from their sinful ways. And the next writing, Islam. I am glad to know that I have a few faithful Moors among you all, and I desire for them to know the truth and the divine truth. There is a host of jealousy about me and the movement by now, by the same people on our side of the nation that claim it was only a joke and unreal. But now, since they have found out from the government officials and the nations of the earth that this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation, this is the only sole foundation that all Asiatics must depend upon for their earthly salvation as American citizens. They are working every scheme that they can to disqualify me, so they themselves may take charge of the situation. I have notified all these things to you long ago in the past. It is through the faithful Moors that attribute to the movement and uplifting funds. The ones that paid their divine respect to me and the movement will be remembered. That is why I am calling upon all faithful Moors to increase their faithfulness to me, your prophet, and your divine Moorish movement. I need finance and I need it badly. Never before have I needed finance so badly as I do at present, so I can shove aside the discord that is facing the nation. It all comes through jealousy because of my fame and nobility. The nations of the world will not recognize the movement without I, the prophet, being head. It has been proven by my works which I have performed in the last few years. And that was right before they took him out. So all we have to do is recognize that there is somebody that called a prophet and he brought something for us that we should probably consider, just since we haven't considered anything else. Or just because we've considered everything else. And everything else that we've considered, nothing's worked to date. Like, we can see that things are getting worse, not better. Right? There's little glimmers of hope. You might see, a conscious young person, have a conversation with them, find out that, they're not under sagging pants and all that. They're actually on bettering themselves and, being examples for them community. All right, great, excellent. That's good. But there's all these concentration camps called prisons filled with brothers and sisters in there. And they're part of the nation too. Right? So, nationality and birthrights is the order of the day. And for individuals out there that are Moorish American, there's when I say Moorish American, Moorish Science Temple of America members that have, nationality cards for the Moorish Science Temple of America, just so I'm specific. A brother by the name of Jamar Butler Bay and Marvin Johnson Bay has a petition going around for the Supreme Grand Bodies to unite and end all the division. And you can sign the petition online at www.change.org/petitions/Moorish-Science-of-America, and then just put hyphens between all the words. So Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish American Supreme Grand Bodies to unite and end all division. So Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish American Supreme Grand Bodies to unite and end all division. All right? And that's what you're going to put after the / after petitions. So www.change.org/petitions/ Moorish Science Temple of America, Moorish American Supreme Grand Bodies to unite and end all division. And on that, we're going to end with Islam. Islam.